Hey, what's up, everybody? Boxing fans, what's going on? I want to talk about this, and it's interesting. I was just going through the headlines here. You got another website, few websites. I'm looking at Boxing News 24. I have no affiliation with them, but check this out. Crawford versus Terence Crawford. Did I say Terence Crawford? Haha, remember him? Zab Judah? Well, this is his son, Tim Tszyu. Edwards predicts late KO, historic accomplishment. I'm reading through this. I just want to see what people are talking about here. So I'm going to just talk about this real quick. Fans are excited about the possibility of Terence Crawford moving up to welterweight to fight an unbeaten challenger. That's Tim Tszyu, who has 24 wins, 0 losses, 17 KOs. And his dad was a really good fighter. If you remember back in the day, if you're not familiar with him, he was supposed to fight, he was supposed to lose to Zab Judah. Zab Judah was this up-and-coming, undefeated fighter. He looked like he was going to be the next super big thing. And I remember, I think it was Sports Illustrated, reading in a gym back in the day. I was a very young, strapping lad. And I just remember them saying, oh, it's Zab's right, something about his radar, like his jab or whatever. He's going to easily beat Terence Crawford. Well, that didn't happen. This is why boxing will always surprise people. By the way, I have a funny story about Zab Judah. I will tell it since I mentioned him, and it's really funny. You're not going to believe it's a true story about how I ran into him. But anyway, I might have said it years ago on this channel. But anyway, Tim Tszyu is looking good. He has 24 wins, 17 KOs. He's orthodox. Of course, he's an Australian. He's 29 years old. And, you know, he has a lot going on for him. But I did see him get rocked and dropped. Let me just check this out real quick. I'm not going to show it. I'm just going to be lazy and just play it. Boom. Gizay, I say his name right. Knocked him out. As Tim Tszyu was coming in, landed a nice right cross and knocked Tim Tszyu down. And I asked myself, even Terence Crawford being like 36 years old, say when I get in the ring, couple years older than Tszyu, is the same thing going to happen? And then it's going to be a KO for Crawford. Well, let's look at some things here. Of course, Tszyu went on to win this fight where he was dropped. But it's interesting because he's walking straight into it from the clip I see here. And his last opponent was Brian Mendoza. He won a unanimous decision. Before that, you can see Carlos Ocampo. He won a KO stoppage. He fought Tony Harrison, TKO. I remember that one. I mean, he's no pushover. It's not like Tim Tszyu is some easy fight. But if Crawford comes in there, well-trained, well-prepared. Let me look at Crawford's record real quick. Well-trained, well-prepared. He should easily... It sounds like, you know, what he did with Errol Spence, but he should easily win the fight. Not so easy like a walkover, pushover thing, but he should definitely dominate the fight because Crawford, you see, Bud Crawford's a special fighter. There's no doubt. So even at 36, even if his timing becomes a little bit off, a twitch off, let's say he's on the downside of his career right now. He hasn't really showed that yet, but let's just say if it was. He's got 40 wins, 31 KOs. He's a southpaw, adding more tricks for Tim to figure out. So the last fight was against Errol Spence. Thoroughly outclassed, a great fighter. And you can see his record right here. Sean Porter, Kell Brook. I don't see how Tim Tszyu stands a chance in the ring for 12 rounds. Possibly could go 12 rounds if Crawford loses a little bit, if he's a touch diminished, because age catches up with everybody, man. Unfortunately, it just catches up with all of us. There's nothing we can do about it. And especially for a professional boxer. Just rock this up. I love like old school, just wearing my hat up like that sometimes. But I think, honestly, I think that this fight is really intriguing, and it's a really good match for Terence Crawford at the stage of his career. And for Tim Tszyu, he has everything to gain, whereas Terence Crawford has everything to lose. So he is 36 now, Bud Crawford. and Tszyu is 29. There's a couple years there. I think Crawford has definitely this year, based on his last performance, it's not too far removed from it, and the damage he's taken throughout his career is not that much. I think Crawford could have a really good 36 years old, at 36 years old, have a really good fight left in him for an entire year. Have a lot of good fights. So if he wants to have 2 or 3 this year, he could do it. Probably not going to go that much. But I think that if they have a summer fight, if they make this fight, it's going to be a really good fight for Crawford to pad some more, bank account money and just have that legacy cemented. But let me just scroll through this article real quick and see what other people are saying. I like the fans' comments the best, like where real people are commenting. So I'm looking for the comments on this. So I just want to read. Drummer Cash says on this. I'll put a link. I'm not going to put the entire link. I'm going to just put Boxing 24 Hour. I'm just saying Boxing News 24. If you go there, you'll see the article. So this guy is saying Crawford has the chops to beat almost any fighter south of 168. Can't say he beat Tszyu though. I can. Tszyu just is as special as Crawford. I totally disagree. But he's good, and he possibly hits harder. I don't know where this, I don't know what type of boxing IQ this person has, but I totally disagree with this. But it's good to hear this. Bud's not the fast starter. Yeah, that's true. Because he's collecting. Bud Crawford is an amazing fighter. I don't know, Drummer Cash. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but hey, I could be wrong too, but I doubt it with this one. Crawford has the chops to beat almost anyone, but he says that Tszyu is just as special. What? That's like saying that's a lot. I don't see that in his opponents yet. If he went in there and dominated some big fighters, come on. I don't see this. I don't know. I don't relate to any of this. Nope, not even close. Adam writes, Tszyu did a better job with Horn than Crawford did. Okay, but see, I don't know whether these Australian people putting this in there or people with a bias. I don't know. I mean, he's really good. He's bigger, but I don't think that he's going to be able to catch Crawford like that unless Crawford really gets old. That's the only thing that's going to beat Crawford in this fight, in my humble opinion, is that Tszyu can capitalize on him getting older. Excuse me. Tszyu's 5'8", his reach is 70.5. Crawford has a good, let's see, 5'8" height, 74-inch reach. Crawford got this all day and night. Honestly, I disagree with what these people are talking about. I don't know if they're like these Tszyu fans from, where is he from, Australia? They're coming in from Australia on this article, and they're just dreaming. Because it's not even close to being as special as Crawford. And let's just say there was a big upset and he beat Crawford. See, that's the thing. Everyone's saying, you can't just beat a great fighter and just all of a sudden you're the greatest ever. No, it doesn't work like that. It's because, if Tszyu does beat him, it's because Crawford's age. He's slowed up. But I don't see Crawford losing this fight. I think it's going to be a knockout, if not a really interesting fight after a few rounds, but domination. It should be a dominant fight for Crawford to win. And, Crawford, in the beginning, he does start slow. Why should he change that? That's great. He figures his opponents out. He switches on a dime. He does amazing things. He figures people out. He does it all. He's like constantly refreshing the page, if you will, and collecting data on his opponents in those early rounds. And then he figures the opponent out and he just strips him away. He just waxes his opponent down. Just figures them all out, takes him out. Whether it's on a cards or whatever, he has a great knockout ratio. 31 KOs and 40 wins. Come on. Now, for anyone to say, look at his record here. I remember Henry Lundy. Look at his record. Victor Postol. Remember that one? John Molina Jr., TKO. Felix Diaz. You run his record up against Tszyu's record. Come on. Jeff Horn. It goes on and on. Julius Indogno. And then he fought that epic fight with Yuriorkis Gamboa. Great fighter. Still had some left. Very dangerous. He hurt Crawford. Crawford's legs got a little wobbly at one point. Epic fight, one of my favorite Crawford fights actually, because it was so great. It was like there was a part in that fight, a portion in that fight, in that fight with Yurokis Gamboa, where it was like, who's going out on their shield moment, and Crawford flipped the switch and he just went for it and showed his greatness, turned it all around, was hurt for a hot minute, went for it, and it was one of those wars in his middle rounds. It was great. Anyway. So I'm also seeing it. My prediction is straight up, Terence Crawford probably a KO. Straight up, unless he gets old, something weird happens. It's boxing, anything, but I don't see that happening really with Crawford. There's other fights going on, other matches being talked about. A lot of excitement. Heavyweight division, Saudi Arabia. I went over it a few times, but I just want to talk about that's with Ngannou. Joshua, my previous video. I wanted to talk about Zab Judah real quick. So back in the day, right before the Cotto fight, I'll never forget it. It was crazy. I'm in the middle of nowhere in a CVS, and it's late at night, and Zab Judah should be training. It's like, I think 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks out before the Cotto fight at Madison Square Garden, and it's like an empty CVS. It's like 2 in the morning. It was 24 hours, and I'm like doing my thing, and all of a sudden, this little dude walks by me. I'm like, yo, who's that? Real quick, look familiar. I was like, because he's Zab Judah, right? He was a smaller fighter. I expected him to be big, larger than life in person. But anyway, it was Zab Judah. I was like, yo, Zab, what's up, dude? What are you doing out here? You should be training. He talked to me a little bit, took a picture on a old cell phone camera. Back in the day, flip phone. It was great. I couldn't believe it. And I went home and I told my dad. I said, Dad, he was sleeping. I woke him up. I was so excited. I said, yo, you never believe who I just met in CVS. My father's like, who are you talking about? He's waking up. I was like, I just ran into Zab Judah. He was walking right by me in the middle of the night. So that was really cool. Zab Judah was really cool, really down to earth. Nobody else recognized him. Not a lot of boxing fans in that CVS. Well, there wasn't too much people, to be fair. People behind the counter. But anyway, that's my story of meeting Zab Judah. I got a lot of good stories. I got some crazy stories. Anyway, you wouldn't even believe them. You'd think that I'm making them up. But I do have the picture somewhere. Anyway, I'm out until the next one.